Hey everyone, welcome to a new video. The last video I uploaded was basically me sharing my thoughts on ChatGPT, AI, and where everything is going with the world of AI. I definitely see opportunities collapsing for the future, but there are few opportunities that have been opened and that are going to continue to remain open for the beginning of AI. I want this video to be not only an update for you guys on what to expect in this channel, but also kind of where we're going and what we're going to be doing. So first off, something I want to go ahead and mention is for the members area, I like to give little uploads and notifications to let you guys know when I upload more content for the members. And I uploaded 3 videos yesterday night. Well, technically, in the AM hour, but yesterday night. Technically this morning, but in the AM hour, 3 videos that hopefully you guys can enjoy and become informative relating to Adobe Stock. With that being said, I'm going to be releasing another 2 videos. One of them I already recorded, and it's specifically on how to lower the similar rejection rate issue. If you're familiar, there are a lot of comments, questions, and concerns that I receive pretty much on a daily basis around different things people are experiencing with Adobe Stock. And, a few other things as well. But in the case of Adobe Stock, people have been pretty vocal about how they're receiving this similar rejection issue. I can't say that it was an issue that I was getting significantly. It was definitely an issue that I was getting. So I spent the last part of the last 2 weeks, trying to figure out how I can replicate the issue. What is really causing this issue? So I dove deep, kind of went into it, and I was able to actually get the same rejection. And when I was able to do that, mind you, I was doing it on purpose, I always try to look for a solution. So I'm releasing that future video tonight, literally after I finish recording this video. By the time you guys are watching this video, if you go straight here to videos, you'll see the new thumbnail of the new video on how to lower that rejection rate for similar content issues. For those who don't know, when you upload a photo to Adobe Stock, okay, and you submit your text, you submit your title, you submit your tags, you submit all that kind of cool stuff, and you wait for the outcome for the rejection or the approval, Adobe is either going to approve it, okay, or reject it, obviously. But when they reject it, there's a few various types of rejections that they'll, write to you. Essentially, if you click on the image in your rejection section or not approved section, it will say rejection off the basis of, and then it will list it, whatever it is. So it could be similar content, meaning that image is similar to other images in your portfolio, but it also it could be quality, right? So they might say the image off of quality basis or technical reasons is rejected. And those are pretty much the most common two rejections. Sometimes an image could be submitted and published on your portfolio, and then later it could be taken down because they just felt like it should be taken down. It doesn't have to be necessarily anything that is bad, but they just don't agree with the image to be on their platform anymore, and that's fine. But these are various different images of why images could be rejected off of your portfolio. With that being said, like I said, the similar content issue was not an issue that I kept getting. When I did make my video recently, I was getting an issue about the I believe, where is it here? How to fix rejection rates almost instantly. This video is kind of me exposing, I had a lot of rejections in the quality sector, the quality issue, but that was an easy fix, right? So I'm not dealing with that issue anymore, and I solved the problem here. I made the video on that. The second video, like I said, that I'll be uploading today, right after this video, so you guys are going to see it by the time you're seeing this, is a video on how to decrease the similar rejection rate issue. So if that's something you're currently dealing with, you're a member of the channel, go ahead and watch that video. It will say members only. You can go ahead and watch it. So that's one of the updates. The next update that I want to share, which is a little bit more striking, is a future update on Adobe. If you're familiar, Adobe's content, as a website, it's not just images. That's not the only way they make money. If you're familiar, they have a huge suite of software tools. You have Adobe Creative Cloud, you have Adobe Illustrator, you have all these kinds of Adobe products, a ton of them. I mean, you could look through them. Adobe Photoshop, so many different ones, right? Adobe Photoshop probably being one of the most famous ones. Despite these products' success, okay, the Adobe stock price is going down. I connected with a friend just luckily, like the basis on it was completely unexpected. But the last time I met this friend used to work at Spotify, and he works at Adobe now. And I was talking to him because I didn't know he worked at Adobe, but he let me know because we haven't seen each other in a while. And he doesn't know that I upload to Adobe Stock, by the way. I was just kind of communicating with him, asking him about a few things, and he actually revealed to me without I don't know if he's allowed to reveal it. That's why I won't mention who he is. He doesn't have an internet presence anyway. He's just somebody I know in my personal community. He revealed to me that Adobe has plans on moving into the physical product space, and they're planning on leveraging some of their images from the stock collection, so Adobe Stock, for physical products that are customizable. And I said, wait a minute, what do you mean by that? Immediately, what came to my head was what? Print on demand. Everybody knows about print on demand on this channel. It's something we talk about all the time, or we've talked about, and we will continue to talk about. And he said, Adobe internally has been, their stock price been going down. A lot of things been going down. Piracy is at a high level, and it's not piracy of Adobe Stock images, but it's piracy of their Adobe software. Their Creative Suites products is at a very high level, and they're looking to move into new industries. And one of the industries that they're looking to do is to leverage their imagery and their collection, the Adobe Stock collection, for physical products. So imagine, and this is kind of the way he was explaining it, he said, imagine if you want to create a greeting card, is what he said, or invitational card. Instead of, you going out there and finding some guy at the mall or a shop to do it for you and print out 100 of them, you could go on Adobe, ask like an AI to put them all together for you, and it will put the design together, which will be editable, and you can have them printed right through Adobe, and they'll be shipped to you. Now, once again, he doesn't know I do print on demand. He doesn't know I do Adobe Stock. He just knows that, I'm kind of like a solopreneur, if you will, right? And immediately, my eyes kind of lit up. So I started searching on the internet about this, and there really wasn't anything about it. I couldn't find anything. But once again, he works at Adobe. So this is pretty much, I guess you could say, leaked information. Now, whether it comes to fruition or not, I'm sure Adobe is working on a whole lot of things behind the scenes that we don't know about. This is a multi-billion-dollar company. They're not going to just let their company go to shambles because AI exists or, whatever the case may be. Remember, they have probably, I think the last time I checked, over 900 million assets. Am I going crazy? Let me check here. 742 million. Okay, so I am going crazy a little bit, but 742 million assets that are effectively freely produced by us uploaders. So if you're listening to this and you're an Adobe Stock contributor, you're worried about the future of your portfolio, listen, it's natural to worry. You should have a little bit of skepticism. You should have a little bit of worry. But also, don't freak out too much. Adobe is a company that has some things down the pipeline. Only time will tell. Who really knows what the future holds? But I'm excited for it. And I'll say this. Although I think the overall effect of AI will be negative in the medium term, I'm not going to say short term, I'm not going to say long term, but in the medium term, like a inter time type phase, if that's even a word, I think it will be damaging to a lot of people. I think incomes are going to go down. I think job opportunities are going to go down. I think for us people that are always energetic and aggressive, looking for new ways to produce an income, I think we can make it. I think we can last here. And my approach behind this is going to still remain true. Diversity is key. If you're producing, let's just say, designs on Redbubble, keep doing that. If you're working on TeePublic, keep doing it. If you're doing merch by Amazon, keep doing it. If you're starting to dabble into new things like Adobe Stock, keep doing it. If you're using the super secret strategy that I shared in the members area on how to make money with AI, but I didn't actually make a public video about it, right? This was number 4, episode number 4 on it. Keep doing that. I'm not going to mention what it is, obviously, because that's locked for the members, but there is a strategy that you can use that's similar to Adobe Stock, but it's not. It's not creation of AI images. It's something else. It's phenomenal, right? There's different ways to make money with the internet. But the biggest move, and this is what I really want to talk about right now, aside from, all the updates, but the biggest move here for success in the future, guys, is very clearly creating a brand for the future. There's no question about this. This is 100% true. I'll tell you why. About 9 years ago, like I said, it was when I actually, maybe 8.5 years ago, who's really counting at this point, I started to become successful online. Prior to that, I had this period of learning, just learning years, right? So like a period of about 2.5 to 3 years of learning. And those 2.5 to 3 years, I pretty much made almost nothing. I've talked about this before, okay? And what would happen is, back then, you're talking about 12, 13 years ago, you really, really had to build a brand. And you had to develop trust. And the reason why was because, not a lot of people transacted on the internet then. In 2012, 2014, people started to slowly become more comfortable with the larger companies like Amazon, eBay, eBay had been around for a long time, but Amazon had just started to really gain some real smoke, some real steam. And that was when people actually started to pay attention to Amazon more than eBay a little bit. There was starting to become a shift during that period of time. And overall, the internet was still something quite risky to people. Like, people would have this idea of like, whoa, you're putting your credit card in the internet? Like, you could get your identity stolen. Like, that's a risk. There was always that thought process in people's minds back then. Now, you go on the internet, anybody's willing to pay for anything. Nobody really cares, pretty much. Everybody knows it's pretty much safe at this point. But back then, there were still a lot of people on the fence. Maybe you spent a lot of money online back then, but trust me, there was a lot of people who didn't. They preferred going into stores and buying things in person because of that nervous factor, that trust factor. And back then, you really, really had to build a brand back then in order to have some sort of success. It wasn't like you could just make money left and right from doing all these kind of odd little side hustles. It wasn't like that back then. And so years down the road, right, let's just say 6 years ago, 5 years ago, 4 years ago, these kind of like this period of time, I'd just say, let's say from 7 years ago to 4 years ago, probably was the golden age of making money without a brand. We're talking about scaling Redbubble designs, scaling TeePublic designs. Merch by Amazon was easily, you could get accepted a lot easier back then, 6 years ago, things like that. These things, guys, in the middle period, you didn't really need to have a brand all that much. There were ways to make money online. But now we're getting to a point now where markets are becoming too saturated. And it's much harder to make money now because there's a lot of people in the game. And now we're reverting to an idea where you do need a brand now. You do need to have an identity online. And what I mean identity is I don't mean your face, right? You see my channel is pretty much faceless, right? You don't necessarily need to have a face, but you need to have a brand. You need to have an identity. A lot of the times people have told me in the past is when they see my thumbnails, they know instantly that I made the video without even checking for who's the username on the video on YouTube. They know because it's a brand. With that being said, I think the future move for everybody listening is creating a brand with some old school tried and true foundational methods. And what I mean by that is website design, website building. I think everybody here listening needs to have a website. And when I say I think, I really mean to say I know. And the reason why I say that is because literally, I made a video recently talking about how starting over right here 3 weeks ago is after I sold the clothing business for a good part of pretty much the entire rest of the time I was building websites, that were these miniature kind of micro niche brands, to the point where I created a YouTube channel called Cash Cow niche sites. Cash Cow niche sites. Let me pull that up actually. Cash Cow niche sites. Okay, let me pull that up. All right. This YouTube channel here. Now, I haven't posted on it in the last, like, let's say 6 months. I know it says 5 months here, but if we click on the actual date, my last video was November 20th, 2024. That's pretty deep. Like, that was a long time ago. And the reason why I haven't posted on there is because the time that I took to, work with the people who were responsible for selling my websites and things like that, I couldn't just, the time is limited in a day. I can't just, do everything every day. So am I planning on posting here more? Yes, but this was the channel where I was essentially telling everybody what's going on and what's been going on, what I've been doing. And you could see here 5 months ago, I have a video titled, I just sold 36 money-making websites today, right? And I haven't made a video since, but I sold all of my online assets pretty much. Now, the reason why I'm mentioning this is because I know how powerful it is to have ownership over an asset that you control, something that belongs to you. Oh, it's beautiful to upload images on Adobe Stock and make money. I love that idea. It works. I do it. It's great to make money off merch by Amazon. It's great to make money off of, TeePublic, Redbubble, all these kind of different platforms. But you need to have something that you own. And it needs to be a brand where you are the expert. Because what happens is, and this is what I personally learned, is you can't sell a complete commodity. There has to be some sort of special IP to it. And what I mean by that is sometimes the special IP, the thing that makes you different, could be your personality. Sometimes it could be the knowledge that you know or the things that you've experienced. It could be anything. And you see these micro brands start to emerge. Like if you go on YouTube and you just search for like life advice topics or anything like that, there's always people making these videos and literally starting brands from scratch. Now, I'm not saying you have to necessarily make life advice videos, but what I'm really saying is, firstly, everyone needs to have a website. That's the first place to go, right? The second thing you need to do is you need to have some sort of video media, and we talked about this. The video that I mentioned, I believe it was here, right? I'm not sure what to do now. I think I was mentioning how important it is to attach a website now in today's world to some sort of video platform. It could be TikTok, it could be Instagram, it could be YouTube, it could be Facebook, like if you have a Facebook page, but it needs to have some sort of attachment. It cannot just be just a website. People need more than that, right? They just do. And something that I have been exploring and doing behind the scenes is this ebook kind of playlist. If you go to my playlists, I've been kind of teaching people is how to create an ebook, how to sell it. And the key to doing that is you need to have a brand author identity, if you will. A person who does this, masterfully is Robert Greene. I'll just type in Greene Robert here. Robert Greene, this guy. This guy had made millions of dollars selling books. You got people like Grant Cardone who say, oh, you can't make money selling books. Well, that's only because he's selling an investment product where he'll really make money off of you. But a guy like this, he became a millionaire, multimillionaire, just selling books, selling what he understands in life, what he believes. And he's created an identity around his books. Now, you don't have to do exactly what this guy did. You don't have to sell books. You also don't have to be the facial author, meaning you don't have to be the face behind the brand, right? You can develop a brand, but what do you need to do it? You need to have a website, and you need to have some sort of video content. The reason why I say video content is when I sold all my websites, guys, part of the reason why I sold them is, number one, I saw logically that the peak was starting to go down. After COVID, things started to go slowly down, okay? Things weren't at the peak anymore. So if I sell, I might as well sell now versus 2 years from now and then really take a hit. So that was the first thing. The second thing was when you're building these brands, they take energy. And people now are more acclimated to video content than ever before. If you give people the opportunity to either one or the other, to choose to either read a blog or read a book versus watch a movie, They're going to pick watch a movie or watch a video over read a blog or read a blog or read a book. That's what they're going to pick. And so the reason why you need a website is you need somewhere to transact. You need somewhere to take money from customers and give them a product, right? And there's no better place to do that than a website because it's, number one, in your full control, but number two, it's customizable. You can set up newsletters. You can take in customer data. You can, give them download membership areas. You can do lots of things. So you need to have a website, but you also need to have that video content to help, right? And the reason why I say video content is because you're not an influencer in terms of like an IG model. You're not an Instagram model. You need to have some sort of video content that's concrete, right? Tangible, if you will, valuable. And like I said, you could do that off TikTok, Facebook, Twitter. I mean, you could do that on so many different places. And don't even get me started on Twitter because Twitter is an absolute goldmine. But the point here is, guys, is creating a brand is the future. If you want to be Chat GPT proof, AI proof, where the AI doesn't come for everything you have, you need to develop a brand. And every single person listening to this has some sort of expertise, some sort of knowledge. I don't care if it's an expertise on how to raise children or how to cook or how to be a good person or sharing your personal journey. Everybody has some sort of expertise. Your expertise is your asset. And from there, you share that to the world. So in the case of Autopilot Passive Income, this YouTube channel, people, I think, gravitated to this channel because I was showing people concrete ways to make income legitimately, no scamming, nothing like that, showing people how to do it, and I created a brand off of it. But you guys can do the same thing. And I think I'm going to teach more of that in that other channel, that Cash Cow Niche Sites channel. I think I'm going to do that. I might even do a little bit here, but obviously, people need to build brands. That's what you need to do. And if you're listening to this and you always knew this all along, but you've been trying to kind of push that away because you know the amount of effort it's going to take, I'm telling you right now is the time. You're never going to have a better time to do it now because it's only going to get worse from here. The competition is going to get worse. Things are going to get harder. And people, more importantly online, are thriving. They're thirsty. Did I say thriving? That doesn't make sense. They're thirsty for this kind of stuff. There's other people who are interested in exactly what you have to offer. The other day, I was watching different videos on 3D printing. I thought it was fascinating. I'm not a 3D printer. I have no expertise. I have no knowledge. I don't even have a 3D printer to begin with. But I thought it was interesting. And I was looking to other experts for it. And these experts were selling different files. They were selling different courses. They were selling different things. And they were also producing videos. And guess what? They were producing an income off of this. They had blogs. They had the whole thing. So if you want to learn, like I said, how to build a brand, just make sure you tap into this channel and the channel that I showed. Over time, I'll start getting more deeper into that kind of content, but it doesn't matter if you want to sell a book. It doesn't matter if you want to sell a course. It doesn't matter if you want to make YouTube videos. You need to have a combination of all these things in order to build a true brand. When you build that brand, guys, you'll be able to be AI proof. I was really thinking about this. I was like, okay, no matter what people do in the future, they're going to get screwed by this AI thing. It's going to happen. It doesn't matter if you're filthy rich right now or if you're poor. Everybody's going to have a hard time. But what people can do in order to save themselves even slightly is to have something that they have ownership over that they can connect with other people on. And that's called having a brand. You have companies like Gymshark. They built their brand through fitness and developed $1 billion clothing company. Probably more than $1 billion, but clothing company. You have brands like Nike, Adidas, Puma that built their brands off of the backs of professional athletes. But you have also smaller brands, like this YouTube channel, for instance, where I know you and you know me because of the content that I share. Not only do you enjoy the content, but you watch it, right? And it impacts you in some sort of way. You align with my message. There are other people that make life advice videos. There are other people that make woodworking videos, 3D printing videos, whatever you're expert on. And don't give me this talk about you're not an expert on anything because you can always have something to share. You can always create something. Just like Robert Greene. People might look at Robert Greene and say, this guy is not an expert. He doesn't know what he's talking about. But when he created his book and he started doing these podcasts and these radio shows way before anything recently, right? He's been doing this since 1998. This book was written in 1998. Think about that. This guy's been on the move for that long doing this kind of stuff. And I bet you in 1998, it's not like it just became all of a sudden a bestseller. This thing developed with time. It built a reputation. It got attention. That's what building a brand is. So you could do this with books. You could do this with anything. I'll show you how to do it. You just got to watch the content, tap in, like I said, and be waiting for this kind of stuff. But hopefully this video helps. Hopefully it's intriguing. More importantly, exhilarating. I hope you guys are interested and excited for the future. Hopefully, like I said, you'll tap in. I'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks for watching, and peace out. Bye.